We begin this hour on Capitol Hill, where the Senate just voted to pass a $95 billion foreign aid bill that includes support for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. The standalone bill comes after Republicans in the upper chamber tanked a linked border security and foreign aid package last week. The bill now heads to the House, where it faces an uncertain future, to be generous. Speaker Mike Johnson says Congress needs to focus on border security before foreign aid. They already did that, but we'll put that to the side for a moment. Here's what Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said about the passage of this morning's bill just moments ago.
Today, we make Vladimir Putin regret the day he questioned America's resolve. And we make clear to others, like China's President Xi, not to test our determination. And we send a clear bipartisan message of resolve to our allies in NATO. With the strong bipartisan support we have here in the Senate with this vote, I believe that if Speaker Johnson brought this bill to the House floor, it will pass with the same strong bipartisan support.
All right, Joe, so 70 votes is a sizable chunk of the United States Senate passing this foreign aid bill, $95 billion, Ukraine, Israel. There'll be Gaza humanitarian assistance and, of course, Taiwan and other partners in the Pacific. So what we've heard from some of the senators is that they want border security before they want to help foreign countries. They just participated in a process in the United States Senate where Republican Senator James Lankford gave them just that. And now the House says it will not pass, at least Speaker Johnson does, it will not pass this bill that just passed this morning in the Senate because he wants border security addressed, which the Senate just did last week.
Right. Well, it's mind-boggling. You have in the United States Senate one of the most conservative senators, James Lankford, pass the toughest border security bill, or put together a bipartisan plan to pass the toughest border security bill in well over a generation, a tougher bill than Republicans could ever dream of getting in the future. And Republican senators said no because Donald Trump told them to say no. You have the Senate passing overwhelmingly a bill to rescue Ukraine from Russian foreign invaders. Lindsey Graham votes no because Donald Trump tells him to vote no. I could go down the list of Republicans. It's not even worth it. We heard Roger Marshall doing his best Tommy Tuberville imitation, saying, European allies should just get over it, when Donald Trump said that he's going to allow an invasion of their country by Vladimir Putin, that he's going to encourage it. This is the same Donald Trump, remember. Again, these dots all connect. This is the same Donald Trump who, of course, said after the invasion that Vladimir Putin was brilliant and that the invasion was brilliant, that he's a very smart man. So you have all of this going on, but this is where we find ourselves now. And yes, I became a Republican, I think when I was 20, 21, 22. I forget the year I became a Republican. But I became a Republican and worked and fought in a Republican Party that fought, I can only speak for myself, for balanced budgets. We balanced the budget 4 years in a row for the first time since the 1920s, only time in 100 years that's happened. Now you have Donald Trump Republicans who spent more money and raised deficit and debt more than anybody else. We not only fought to balance a budget and balance a budget 4 years in a row, we also fought hard to push back on communist aggression, whether that communist aggression was coming from China, whether that communist aggression was coming from North Korea, whether that aggression was coming from Russia, which wasn't as much of a problem back then. I flew 19 hours to send a message, along with other Republicans, to China to see the first democratically elected president of Taiwan. I flew 19 hours to Taiwan. I stayed in Taiwan for about, I think, 10 hours, and then I flew 19 hours back because I was on the Armed Services Committee, and I wanted to send a strong message along with other members of the Armed Services Committee together, collectively, to send a message to Communist China. Keep your hands off of Taiwan. We're here. We're going to do what it takes to defend democracy in Taiwan. Mara Gay, this morning, that party's gone. You have a party now that is encouraging the invasion of Europe. A party right now whose senators are saying Europe should just get over it. A party right now who's pulling up stakes and being every bit as isolationist as Charles Lindbergh. I wouldn't even put them in the same category as Neville Chamberlain, because Neville Chamberlain was an honorable man. He was just wrong about appeasing Hitler. No, these people are cheering for Vladimir Putin. And as David Frum just tweeted a couple of minutes ago, because I'm old and I have a bad memory, Putin's last hope is Speaker Mike Johnson. Think about that, Maura. Vladimir Putin's last hope, this war criminal in Russia, his last hope is the Republican Speaker of the House. I mean, I know you don't have to love the Republican Party or ever have loved the Republican Party in the past to say, well, they're kind of less dangerous when they pushed back on communist thugs and balanced budgets. That time is long gone.
Well, it's amazing because, I am old enough to remember when John McCain was the Republican nominee, who was of course, war hero and was a patriot. And so the fall has been rapid, the decline of the party. But I actually think that Vladimir Putin's last hope is seeing Donald Trump in office again. And as horrific as it has been to see Ukraine, having to fight for its life, essentially, to see the horror and the war since October 7th and on October 7th in Israel and in Gaza, and the suffering is just unimaginable. It's also incredible to me that we aren't hearing more on the campaign trail about what all of this could look like if Donald Trump were actually in the White House right now. It's very clear that it would be unimaginably worse. I mean, Donald Trump is somebody who has open admiration for dictators, including Vladimir Putin. And he's also somebody who is very supportive of Bibi Netanyahu, who I think is not our friend in this instance. Israel is not so sure about Bibi Netanyahu. So I wonder, too, just when you talk to voters, because I've been out on the trail talking to voters, you hear a lot about anger toward the U.S. policy in Israel and Gaza. And some of it is understandable. But there's not a lot of discussion of what this might look like if Donald Trump returns to the White House. Do we think that he's going to show our friends more compassion or solidarity? Do we think that he's going to care about Palestinian children? I'm going to say that's a no.
And what we've seen in the last 2 days as a reminder that Republicans will go right along with it. Jonathan Lemire, President Zelensky of Ukraine just out with a statement as this 70-29 vote, this aid made its way through the Senate. He said he's grateful to Senator Schumer and to Leader McConnell and to every United States senator supporting continued assistance to Ukraine as we fight for freedom, democracy, and the values we all hold dear. He reiterates that it is American assistance that's helping them, that's keeping them alive in this fight, as he calls it, to fight Russian terror. It means that life will continue in our cities and will triumph over war. American assistance brings just peace in Ukraine closer and restores global stability. He goes on thanking America again and making the point perhaps to those sitting in the House of Representatives about how critical and how crucial this aid is, not just to Ukraine's survival, but for the stability of the West.